Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Inbox to Impact, a podcast where we discuss everything that affects B2B outreach. I am your host, Erin, and if you have been with us from the beginning, you already know that we've been on quite a journey. In our first episode, we talked about why email open rate is on the decline and how it can be fixed with clean data. In our second episode, we discussed at length the dropping click-through rates and why people don't interact with the content they do end up opening, and how it can be addressed through relevant and clear content. In today's episode, we go one step deeper into the funnel and talk about responses. It is that moment when your prospects write back saying, "Tell me more." It signifies that your campaign worked. But the issue is, getting responses is becoming increasingly hard. Your prospects open your emails, click on them, and then just disappear. And you are left with no means to figure out what went wrong and where. And no responses means no conversations, and no conversations means no pipeline. Joining me again is Clement, CEO and founder, TargetNXT, who has been with us from the beginning of this series, helping us understand how B2B buyers think today and what B2B teams can do differently to meet the buyers where they are. Welcome to the show again, Clement.
Thanks again, Erin. Glad to be back yet again.
So, Clement, before we get into the topic, I want our listeners to really feel the gravity of the situation. How hard is it to get replies in the big 2026?
Hard. Very hard. The average reply rate for cold emails sits somewhere around 5.1, with most campaigns receiving way fewer replies than that. And when you zoom out further, one study from back in 2019 found that just 8.5% of all outreach emails get any kind of response at all. So it isn't just that the fall in response rates is a brand new problem. It has been going on for quite a while now.
Those numbers are sobering, aren't they? You work so hard to get your target audience to open the emails and click on them, and none of it amounts to anything substantial.
That's true. More than 95% of people refusing to reply to your emails after interacting with them isn't exactly what a marketer dreams of when launching the campaign.
Right. So, what does good look like in 2026? If a campaign receives 5% responses, should the team celebrate or toil harder?
A bit of both, actually. In almost every industry today, hitting 5% or more in responses means your targeting and messaging are working. A genuinely excellent response rate today is 10% or above, and that puts you in the top tier of performers. The best campaigns, and here I am talking about the ones hitting 15 to 18% response rates, are the ones that get three things right constantly: personalization, data quality, and timing.
Okay, so it is possible to get those high response rates. This begs the question, where are the teams getting less than 5% messages going wrong?
A lot of these teams are just pushing messages instead of sending emails that get responses. Many marketers create emails that are packed with value propositions, product details, and CTAs like book a demo or schedule a meeting. This asks for commitment, and buyers aren't ready to commit the very first time they hear from you. Emails that are looking to start conversations are worded differently. They are lighter and have lower barriers for engagement. They won't directly ask you to trust them. They will create an opening for a conversation and gradually build from there. Most email campaigns try to get conversions before even starting a conversation and end up losing the interest of the reader.
But aren't emails supposed to be precise and value-driven? So how do you create an email that opens up an avenue for conversation without pitching?
Great question. In my experience, one thing that I have found most marketers do wrong is over-explaining stuff. They feel that the more they explain, the more valuable the email gets. In cold outreach, too much information can work against you. Because now, the email feels like work again. It demands time, attention, and effort before the person has even decided if they want to engage with your brand. To find the right balance, you have to change the way you make your email value-driven. It needs to shift from everything we offer to we understand your problem and here's how we can help solve it.
Got it. So listeners, the secret to getting responses is to create emails that start a conversation where value can be exchanged, instead of giving away all the information in the very first email and intimidating the recipient. Am I right, Clement?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, let us dig into the whys. I have seen a lot of outreach teams getting clicks on their emails. Decent enough clicks, actually. But then, it's just silence. The replies aren't coming at all. So, what is the issue?
The issue is a lack of scope to start a conversation. As we discussed earlier, marketers design their email campaigns around getting clicks and driving traffic. And it works. The recipient gets curious and opens the link. But once that curiosity dies down, there's just no scope for a dialogue. Think about the average cold email. It arrives with a value proposition that sounds like a press release. It lists 3 bullet points about features. It ends with, "Let me know if you'd like to connect." That email is designed for one-way broadcasting. There's no invitation to actually respond. And subconsciously, the recipient knows that.
So are we saying the problem is strategic? Are marketers so focused on selling that they've forgotten how to have a conversation?
Oh, most definitely. It's what is called the pitch first trap, or the sales trap. Marketers are so eager to offer value that the first email starts feeling like a brochure instead of a message from a real human. And the moment it feels like a pitch, the likelihood of a reply drops. But that's just one part of it. The bigger issue is attention. Competition for attention is at an all-time high. Decision makers are receiving hundreds of emails every day, and over time, they've developed incredibly sharp filters. They can tell within seconds whether an email was written for them or sent to thousands of others. And if it feels like a blast, the chances of getting a reply drop almost instantly. There's data to back this up too. A study by Backlinko that analyzed over 12 million emails found that deeper personalization drives 52% higher reply rates. And the gap is huge. Generic cold emails see response rates below 1%, while well-personalized emails can reach 15 to 18%. So it's not just a small improvement, it's a completely different outcome from the same volume of outreach.
That kind of improvement is extraordinary.
Oh yes, it is. Personalization can do wonders for your campaign, but there's more to the story. There is also an expectation mismatch. Most emails are still written the way they were back in 2015. They introduce the brand, deliver a pitch, add a CTA, and expect immediate engagement. But buyers don't respond that way anymore. They're more skeptical, more selective, and far more cautious about who they engage with. So when you combine all of this, the pitch-first messaging, the high competition, and the outdated expectations, it becomes clear why replies are dropping.
Makes so much sense. And honestly, those 3 things you mentioned, the pitch-first approach, the noise, the outdated expectations, I've watched all of them play out up close. I remember speaking with a marketing director at a mid-sized tech firm a while back. They had a great product, a clean list, and a talented and hardworking team. But every campaign they ran didn't seem to go anywhere. Months of effort, great opens and click rates, but the replies just weren't coming. And at the time, neither of us could quite put a finger on why. But now, listening to you, it's obvious. Every single email led with the company. What they do, what they offer, why they're great. There was nothing in there for the reader to hold on to. They weren't starting a conversation. They were delivering a monologue and expecting a response.
And it never feels wrong when you're doing it. It feels like the responsible thing, you know? Make the case, lead with value. Nobody tells you the reader isn't ready for any of that yet.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it such a hard trap to get out of. You don't know what you don't know. Which is why I really want to dig into this, because I think a lot of people hear personalization and assume it just means adding a first name to the subject line. So, what does good personalization actually look like?
First thing, adding a first name to the subject line doesn't count as personalization anymore. Buyers have been receiving "Hey, first name" emails for 15 years. It reeks of automation and immediately loses the reader's attention. Real personalization means you know something about this specific person at this specific moment in time. You reference a recent funding round they announced. You mention a product they just launched. You acknowledge a challenge that's specific to their industry right now, like dealing with AI disruption, supply chain pressure, or regulatory changes. And here's where data quality becomes very important. Without it, you'd be spending your resources reaching the wrong people with the wrong message at the wrong time. You cannot personalize your way out of a bad list.
Makes sense. How important a role do you think the tone of the messaging plays? Because even with the right data and the right targeting, I see emails that get the facts right but still feel wrong. What role does authenticity play in whether someone actually replies?
It is one of the biggest factors, but also one of the hardest to quantify. Right now, AI-generated email copies are everywhere, and AI can be great at personalizing at scale and at speed. But there's a version of AI-assisted outreach that reads like it was produced by a robot. Too structured, too polished, too perfect, and hardly any soul. Most emails that get responses in 2026 often have a slight imperfection to them. They have something real that can't be replicated by AI, like a real opinion or moment of genuine curiosity. Something that shows that a human wrote this message. My favorite piece of advice I keep coming back to is this: write the email you'd want to receive. If you delete it in 3 seconds, your prospect will too.
Got it. The next obvious question, follow-ups. There's a lot of debate in the industry about whether following up is effective or just annoying. Where do you stand on it?
Oh, follow-ups are absolutely essential. But it's also where a lot of B2B teams lose the plot entirely. The data says that follow-ups generate 42% of campaign replies, which means nearly half of all your responses will not come from the first email, but from those that you send later. And yet, 48% of sales reps never send a second message. But, and I can't reiterate this enough times, a second email that says, "Just circling back on my last email, did you get a chance to look at it yet?" isn't a follow-up. It's just a reminder to the buyer that you haven't had a conversation yet.
So, in your opinion, what does a proper follow-up look like?
Every follow-up needs to add something new to the conversation. It can be anything relevant, a new insight, a specific question, an opinion. Campaigns with 3 to 5 follow-up steps consistently get more replies than sequences without follow-ups. But these results will come only when you know what to send.
I see. Now, let's talk about the common mistakes. What do you think actively prevents people from replying?
There are quite a few things I see consistently that can be quite off-putting. 1. Asking for too much. An email that ends with, "Would you be free for a 45-minute demo next week?" is asking a stranger to commit significant time based on a cold message. Replace that with a relevant but low-commitment question. That might actually get you a reply. 2. Wall of text emails. 3 paragraphs, too many value propositions, and numerous CTAs. Research shows that emails shorter than 100 words actually see higher reply rates, so keep your emails short. 3. Landing in spam before you even start. Almost 20% of cold emails are flagged as spam despite legitimate intent. For that, you need to check your email for spammy language, your sender reputation, and the quality of your data. And 4. Not having a clear, singular ask. When you ask 2 things, you actually get replies to neither. 1 email, 1 question, 1 next step. That's how you do it.
Got it. In your opinion, what should an email that is made to get responses look like?
It would be short, under 150 words. It would open with a sentence that proves I know something real about this person that goes beyond their job title. Then it would ask one genuinely curious question about their situation instead of pitching a solution. It would end with the easiest possible next step, maybe even just a yes or no question. and it would sound like a human being typed it.
Insightful. All right, it's time for us to wrap this discussion up. But before that, let us quickly do a rapid-fire round. Quick questions, quicker answers. Ready, Clement?
As always, let's go.
One element that increases replies instantly.
A specific, genuine question. Not, would you like to learn more? Something like, is scaling pipeline velocity a priority for Q3? This kind of real question gets real answers.
Biggest mistake when asking for a response?
Making it require work.
One technique that encourages conversation.
Share an observation and not a pitch.
One metric to track alongside response rate?
Positive response rate. 25% of replies in most campaigns are negative. Quality tells you if your targeting is working.
And finally, from your experience at TargetNXT, how important is data accuracy and targeting when it comes to driving real responses?
It's really important. If your targeting is off, even the best email won't get a reply. Good data ensures your message reaches the right person at the right time in the right context.
I want to take a moment to pull this together because there are a couple of things I hope our listeners really take away from this. First, getting responses means your target audience is taking time out of their day to reply to your message, and getting there is much harder than it used to be. And second, the only way to do it is to ensure your messages offer a scope for conversation and not try to sell in the first message. Thank you so much, Clement, for breaking down for us why response rates are dropping and where many marketers are going wrong. I believe they now know what can be done differently to get better responses. And one thing that can help get you there is better data. If you're reaching the wrong people, personalization or trying to have conversations isn't going to be of much help. And honestly, that's why the data matters so much, to ensure you're having the right people in front of you at the right time. That's exactly where TargetNXT's precise data gets you. And that's all for today on Inbox to Impact. I'm Erin. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.